All right, so we're gonna keep this like pretty informal.
Yeah.
Ms. Brandy and I will talk about a little bit about the program and then just kind of talk about some stuff with y'all and see what you guys are thinking about things going on campus and all kinds of stuff. So, Brandy, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
You can definitely start. You'll be starting for the first few meetings since I am very new to the College of Ag and I'm still learning a lot of things myself. So I'll let you start.
Okay, well, we'll start. There's might be folks on here that might not know who we are. So I'm
Mhm.
Dr. Erin McKinley. I am the director of dietetics. I've been at LSU for will be 3 years on March 1st. So I do all of my research with the Ag Center, and then all of my teaching and directing is on the LSU side. And one of the big reasons that I'm in this program is because I have contact with so many students, and there's so many students in our program that already know who I am. So there's already a natural comfort level that exists with regard to that, so that students can be coming to me for the things that we'll talk about as far as diversity champions. But Brandy, if you want to introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Brandy Jones, and I am all of 6 months employed with the Ag Center. I am an extension worker. I work at the St. Louis Street office, so I actually work in the field. I am very seldom in my office, if at all. And the major reason that I am a diversity and inclusion champion is because I do not come in contact with many students. However, I would like to serve as a point of contact representing the extension side of the Ag Center. So I'm very seldom on campus, if at all. However, I do plan to make more trips to campus to be more involved with the students. So, and I think another one of the biggest reasons is I always wanted to see changes, but what better way to see change, if you don't act upon changing things yourself? So that's one of the second biggest reasons that I'm a part of this program.
So yes, the School of Nutrition and Food Science has two champions. Animal Sciences has two champions, and then the rest of the departments have one. So we're the second biggest in the college. So we have two to make sure that we have enough to cover all of our students. So one thing I wanted to mention, where did this program come from? Some of you might know this, might not know that after everything that happened over the summer and this big push for really making sure that college campuses were taking everything into consideration with what was going on with racial injustices and really making sure that those were being dealt with properly on college campuses. And so at the LSU level, we have a really big diversity, equity, and inclusion subcommittee, so the DEI subcommittee. There's about 100 of us that are on that committee. We're split up into different subcommittees to work on different initiatives across campus related to diversity, equity, inclusion, from the student level to the grad student level, faculty, staff, recruiting new faculty, recruiting new students, keeping students with us, so through retention, creating new opportunities for students to learn more about diversity. So there's a lot of little things that have occurred over the last 6-7 months, and that subcommittee will continue to be doing things. So one thing that the College of Ag decided to do, that to my knowledge, I really don't know what goes on in a lot of other colleges since I'm not in there. We don't really hear what goes on from college to college unless they share it university wide. But the College of Ag now has its own DEI council just for the College of Ag. And that consists of members of faculty and staff in the college. And then it does have extension members. And some of those also, I think they have grad students and maybe some undergrads on it. And so one of the initiatives that the college level diversity council came up with was this diversity champions program. So it was kind of born out of, or was created to be very similar to some of the programs we already have on campus. So I don't know, just a raise of hands, who's heard of Safe Space? So safe space is people can be safe space trained, they can have the sticker on their door, and they are a person who's LGBTQIA plus that or is questioning or is just wants to have a conversation about that can go to those individuals and have confidential conversations about those aspects. And so it's very similar in that as diversity champions, we've been retrained, and I got retrained. We all got retrained in things, safe space. A lot of us are doing lighthouse advocate training this week or at some point in the future. We've been trained in how to work with SAA, with LSU Cares sheets. We know what's going on with the Student Health Center and all the services that they have available. We've been retrained on all of the things that LSU has to offer students who might need help with something. And so we kind of act as that point of contact for the students within our department for, it could be tangible things such as the students need resources. So they have questions, they need resources, they need referrals out to where to find other information about things that they are just curious about or they have questions about. We're also there for minority and underrepresented students, and this could be minority and underrepresented not just in race, but in any identifier. So it could be disability, it could be identification by gender or sexuality, whatever a student identifies as, where they may feel that they are not being treated justly or they have been discriminated against because of that, or want to talk to somebody about that and how they're feeling about things going on campus, we would encourage those students to come to us and have those discussions so that we can be getting them resources or putting them in contact with other people that can have more engaging conversations, or with the different offices on campus that specialize in different things. So we also serve as that point of contact where if a real serious problem does come to us, that we can be that we're mandatory reporter that we would be anyway, but we can serve as that middle person before it goes up to our department head or our dean or any higher than that, when the student doesn't know where to take an issue next. And then we just want to really make sure that all of the students in the School of Nutrition and Food Science are treated equally, feel as though they are treated equally. And if they're not, we want to know about that. Those are not things that our students should be keeping to themselves and being upset with and just assuming that we're not going to do anything, so why say anything at all? And it's like, we can't help you if you don't tell us what's going on. So those are just kind of a few things that we would be available for students. I'm pausing if Brandy wants to cut in at all. Oh, and I will say, if you happen to not be in the School of Nutrition and Food Sciences, that's fine. We will not turn you away. So this is a college-wide program, so we would certainly see students from other departments. And if one of our students felt more comfortable going to somebody in another, a champion in another department, because maybe they had a class with them and they know them better, that's fine. You're not going to get any of a different experience. It's who you're the most comfortable with engaging with.
Right, definitely. So like Dr. McKinley said, we do serve as a point of contact, and we will wear many hats and act in many roles. So please feel free to utilize us. And I guess it's so, like she said, we don't want students to slip through the cracks and just mess up the rest of however many years that you have remaining, at college, because of something that we could have easily stepped in, and assisted with. So we will wear many hats and serve in many roles. So please utilize us as much as you can, because that is what we are here for. And I feel like we had extensive training in many different areas. So we are your diversity and inclusion champions of the School of Nutrition and Food Sciences. So again, please utilize us.
So some things that we are not, that we wanted to mention, just so there's no confusion, is that we're not social workers. We're not trained social workers. We're not trained psychologists, psychiatrists. I'm not a medical doctor. So there are some things where you might start the conversation with us, but at some point we will have to maybe put in that LSU care sheet so that somebody else can help out. So if there are students who do feel like they're in an emergency situation, we might not be the best folks to go to unless you don't know who to go to for that emergency. So if it is a mental health emergency, you don't know what number to call for a helpline, or you don't know some of the services that we have available. But we will not serve in that capacity because we don't want to be stepping out of bounds or stepping into anybody else's scope of practice. We kind of drill that with dietetics. We don't want people doing what we do. So Brandy and I are not going to do what we're not supposed to. But there are things that will be required to do, especially when it comes to anything relating to Title IX and sexual assault. Even Lighthouse Advocate or not, we are required reporters. Every LSU faculty and staff member has been trained on that. So if someone does come to us with something that we have to report, we have to do it. And that's just part of the process. But there are a lot of things you could come to us with that don't ever have to leave our offices or our Zoom call or what have you. Looking at my list. So types of resources, a lot of times, since the Diversity Champions program is pretty new, as a group, we're still really working on streamlining our process as a group. So we have our first kind of reconvening meeting tomorrow post-training to really kind of go through, and we've been giving feedback to Dr. Martin and Dr. Press at the college level on things we need readily available to us as far as resources. It's mostly about the program itself, but a lot of times the resources that we may provide are probably things that are very readily available on the LSU website or through one of our constituents that we contract with through the college, like Lighthouse or anything like that. So for right now, a lot of the resources are going to be campus-based. Maybe you just need to know where an office is located or the best person to email or something like that. Until we start to kind of get a little bit more advanced, we might be provided with some additional resources, but we haven't been yet. It's mostly been that the who, what, when, where on campus for certain things. Am I forgetting anything, Brandy?
You are not forgetting anything. You are doing an excellent job.
I'm just off the cuff on this one. Oh, I have on here, how can students work with the Diversity Champions to enhance DEI? Okay, so I would say that's pretty open. I think one of the things, I'm not going to speak for Brandy, I just want students to be open and honest and transparent with us about their experiences, because I don't know what's going on unless people tell me. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't know what's going on until something bad happens. And I hear about it in the press. And that makes, when my husband texts me before I find out something because he heard something, that's never good. So we want our students, I would want to build, just like I built a culture of being informed in this department since I got here. I want a culture of communication. And it's okay to come to us and talk about things that are bothering you on campus, especially if you feel like somebody is treating you differently because of something you identify as. Like, we need to know, because we can help you deal with it. And that's, it's very, it's hard to give a specific example because it could be like one of a million things, but I'm never a fan of students leaving LSU and then they decide to complain about something that happened to them. And then I'm like, you're walking out the door and I can't help you. And now you're not happy. You're not a happy alumni. I see that a lot. in feedback. Oh, I didn't like the way that professor ever spoke to me. I always felt like she spoke down to me. Okay, well, we didn't know that. We could have addressed that. But you waited until 2 months before graduation when you take an exit survey to leave our college that then you shared that information. We would rather know those things up front because then we can address it. And with situations like that, a lot of times in my history of teaching, students don't come forward because they're whatever it is so specific that they're afraid they're going to be identified in the situation. And you have to remember that you're dealing with professionals, and we know how to deal with these situations without that happening. We can right. Find ways, and this is where we bring in Dr. Rutherford, who is my department head, my boss in the department, and he's been doing this a long time, and he knows those ways of approaching things and discussing things without making it very clear who it is. And there might be that one case where it really is very specific, but our faculty is not allowed to retaliate against you, because that would be another thing that we would need to know about. And that's I don't foresee that happening in our department. I do feel that problem's is no longer with us anymore. I think some of the vibes that our department used to have, I think those are gone. So I think for the most part, we won't have any issues with that, but just keep in mind that we will protect you, no more, like whatever we will have to do to protect you, to make sure that you don't feel like you have to leave us. Like, I don't want you leaving the major, leaving the college, leaving LSU because you don't feel safe here. Like, that is not what we want. We want to keep you here and because you deserve to be here, and you deserve the best experience possible because that's what you came here for. So please communicate with us. Please do not be afraid. We are busy people, but we have to listen. Like, we took on this responsibility. We will listen. We will make the time.
So we're going to move on. We're going to ask how, students can work with the diversity champions to enhance that in our college. Did anybody want to speak?
So I was a peer mentor this semester, and I know that like Rachel was as well. And I think that like it's just important, and that's just one small, and obviously like I'm serving in a role, so it's a little different, but like we were trained like safe space and stuff like that. So I think like just in those roles, making sure that the students feel heard. And I know it was hard, especially this semester. Like, we would say, like, if you need any help, like, please don't be afraid to reach out. And then we would see students struggling who like weren't reaching out. And so I think it's just like reiterating that over and over again to our peers, even when you're not in a point of authority, I guess, just in class, like if you see a student struggling, just be like, hey, like, I know we aren't besties, but I'm here for you if you need, or like I can help you, like connect you to someone else. I think that's super important to bring it down to that level as well.
I think a big part of getting students to open up is trust. So how do we gain the trust? Like, how can we, that's a big question, not just in this program, but just in life. How do we get individuals to trust us? If you can provide us any information on, how can we show that we are dedicated, we are genuine, we are loyal, we do care, you all are supported. This is what we are here to do.
I actually have had an incident with like a faculty member in my past, actually like this previous year, and the department head of the program that I was in didn't like support the students because we all felt that there was a problem, and it was somebody that LSU had brought in to help with the class, like, and this was like their first time teaching at the university, so they didn't really like they didn't have the understanding I feel like they needed to be like a good teacher. And so it was really difficult for like me and like my fellow students in the class to feel like we had any like help, because like we just never felt supported. And we ended up like having the problem resolved because we reached out to the dean of that specific college and that specific program, but like knowing that like just like having this conversation like puts a lot more trust for me to know that like if I ever had that problem again, that I could immediately reach out to y'all, because not having that support system, especially from a teacher that I had already been with for like 2 years, was really difficult for me, because like I had already, like I trusted them so much for them to like turn around and treat like me and like my fellow students like we were the problem, and like not have our back on that was like really difficult. So like I think like what you're doing right now is just like a beautiful way to like support us, because like that was, I never thought I would have to go through that situation in college. So it was like very difficult for me. So I'm really enjoying this.
Ooh, I almost did a backflip when you said that. Like that just made my whole Monday. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
I agree. That's one thing, like I've never had a specific situation, but that's one thing that I've always said about the College of Ag. Like going into it, I was like, why am I in the College of Ag? Like, I don't get this. I mean, this was just me, a little senior in high school, didn't understand college, but I like couldn't be more thankful. I've seen other students who like were in different colleges and the support's just not there. And so like just seeing this extra step and like knowing my professors and knowing like the department heads and all this stuff, it really makes a huge difference. So like I agree with Sydney, like just thank y'all for taking this extra step and doing this. It's greatly appreciated.
So what are some things, because we know, well, I know Olivia, Sydney, and Rachel are all in the same program. And our program and our profession has a diversity issue. Our department is not very diverse, our student base. Some concentrations a little bit better than others, but for the most part, I cannot say that we're overly diverse. I just saw the 14th day list and I was like, okay. So thinking about that, and one of the things that I noticed, I made a post for this for the SNDA page. And usually when I make posts, they get a ton of likes. And this one got like 5. Do you think our students are scared of diversity? Do you think our students, because I'm reading personal statements from students that are applying to internships this year that are like, well, I just haven't really met a lot of people that aren't like me, even though they go to this college, this university. They're apprehensive about working with diverse clientele in the future because they feel like they don't know what they're doing. So I think one of the big things that I need a student perspective on is, how do I reach the ones that look like the 3 of you, Rachel, Olivia, and Sydney, and get them in these conversations and understand that this is an open dialogue and not an attack?
I think they like, a lot of the students, since it's not diverse, they might look at that post and be like, oh, well, I'm just a little white girl or something. This isn't for me because I'm not part of the diversity that they're talking about. So like, just like reiterating to all the people like that, this is for everyone to learn about diversity, not just for diverse groups of students.
That is something I thought of, because when people hear diversity, they automatically are like, well, I'm not diverse, so therefore this isn't a program for me. I'll never have to go talk to them because it has nothing to do with me. And they may never have to come to us, but we can't make any kind of initiatives that the college starts to or tries to put into place where they're not going to be successful unless everyone's on board with them. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do we engage more of our students that feel like they are not diverse, but to be engaging in the conversation. And I don't know if we're ever going to do that, but that was one thing I noticed with this event. I was like, okay. I was like, it's almost like they don't want to like a photo because they don't want anyone to know that they would like a photo about diversity stuff. And it's like, that is obviously like a deeper issue and maybe something that needs to be addressed, that we need to be having more of these conversations.
No, I agree. Especially like with all the events over the summer, like I would have conversations with my family, and like I know my family looks at me differently now because that is stigmatized, especially down here. and it's like, it's frustrating. So I think people might, one, be afraid of like saying something wrong, and like being offensive, which the only way to change that is to do this and to learn what is correct or whatever. And then two, I think it's like, oh, well, like someone's going to look at me differently, which is, like you said, I think that's a deep rooted issue. And like, that's something that's going to take years to change. But I think this for sure is the first step. And like, just the people in here, like going to my friend and be like, oh my God, like this was a really good talk. And like, we talked about everything, not just this one specific scenario. I think just doing that and starting there will make a large difference over time.
I definitely agree with Olivia. I think it's honestly a very like scary subject to talk about too. Like I just know personally, like being who I am and like just being like a straight white woman, like it's very like difficult for me to talk about diversity because I feel like I'm maybe like not that diverse, so it can be scary. But like one of my close people to my heart came out to me 2 summers ago, so like that's been a life-changing experience. So just see them grow because they came out when they were like 12 or 13. So being able to be a part of that experience has like changed me a lot as a person, and it's made me grown, and I've just become a lot more educated on everything. So I think that definitely starting that spark, and especially with like our younger members of the ag college that are especially just coming in right now, like making sure that they know it's for everybody and just really educating them on the subject. And that way they're not scared to talk about it and like scared to come to other people with questions, especially like y'all.
I heard a lot of words that I do share the same sentiment sometimes. I'm sometimes scared to say the wrong thing. Sometimes I do feel like I am not that diverse as well. I am a Black woman. I don't know many white people, male or female, and I do work with a lot of white people, Asian people, but I don't know them. And I feel like with the training that we've recently gone through, it does help me to better understand that it's okay, you know, to be different, to be inclusive, and just really be who you are and be accepting of other people and be more so understanding of people. But the big word here to me is scared, and it can be very scary. So we just want to know other ways that we can help and again, build trust so students trust us so they don't slip through the cracks, you know, and it could be something that we could have helped out with, you know, being the barrier between them and them dropping out or sitting out a semester, transferring. You know, we definitely don't want that. And we just want to, you know, help.
And one thing that like really helps is there's this diversity training. I think it's the NCBI training that we have available on campus that really makes you think about yourself and the different identities you have. And at the end of it, you'll be like, wait, I really am diverse. I didn't think about how this little aspect of my life, like where I was born or how I was raised or what kind of family I grew up in, all these different things about your life you don't realize actually make you diverse and help you to actually identify more with more individuals based off of that, based off of a lot of commonalities that might be occurring there. I don't know if they're going to like really do that training really big, but I'm sure there's stuff you can find online where it's like, how do I really think about my identities a little bit more? Because I think that's a big thing where I remember when I was looking for jobs, and whenever you're looking for a faculty position, they put you through the diversity people. And I was like, I'm never going to get past the diversity people. Look at me. Like, I'm just a white girl on paper. I was like, they're going to see the name. They're going to know I have red hair just from my name, like joking around. My husband's like, oh, don't worry about it. Da, 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 da. But I was scared that I wouldn't get an interview or get to the next part of the thing because I didn't check enough boxes. And they were like, oh, though that's not really what that's there for. But then I was still paranoid because I honestly didn't think I was anything but like the hetero norm of my profession, which I kind of am a little bit, but it was just funny, like years ago, I just didn't think I was diverse at all. And then going into this program and having to go through all this training, how many different facets of my life I didn't realize make me diverse. So maybe we have to do something where it's like a little retreat with the College of Ag where the students explore their identities. But I wanted to share something. I don't know if everyone's aware. I'm going to put it in the chat, the link to the diversity roadmap for the university. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the initiatives that LSU are kind of working towards, but that website houses everything that LSU's been working on. They kind of changed it up for Black History Month, but it will have the roadmap on there, and then the Black Student Leaders platform was something that came out over the summer, as well as kind of their list of things that they think LSU should be working on. And that's heavily influenced a lot of the initiatives that have taken place, like taking the name off the library and trying to do things like that. So there's a lot of work to be done, but you can kind of see there's there's already updates on there from different things, but kind of to get updates to that site on what we're working on. We just had a retreat last week on the updates for the subcommittees, and there's already a lot of good stuff going on and a lot of unfortunate things that haven't been able to be successful just because change is hard. We tried to get a mandatory African American study course added to the Common Core for social sciences, and that did not go over very well because people just were not happy about it. I'm going to say that, not happy about it. So we are trying to do a lot of things, but we also want the students to understand that a lot of things that don't occur are not for a lack of trying. Sometimes we just are not successful in our endeavors. But do y'all have any ideas for stuff that maybe start at the college level or even at the department level? Because you guys know I like to throw a good event. So are there things that we could be doing at a micro level, either with our department or at the college? And it doesn't have to be right away. It could be something, in the fall of next year, or maybe when there's some normalcy again, because I know it's weird right now. But what should we be doing? What could we be doing? Are there things that when you came back in the fall, you were expecting to see and you didn't with regard to the events of the summer?
I was thinking about this. One of my classes, we've been having a lot of guest speakers come in from different departments of LSU to talk about things. So just something as simple as y'all popping in for the first 5 minutes of a class to just introduce yourselves to everybody and tell them what the program's about. I think that would be really good because it's been very informative, and some of the people that I've had the pleasure of meeting in this class, I wish I would have known about them my freshman year, considering that it's my senior year and now I'm just finding out things. So I think that would be a really good start, especially just getting the word out to students.
Okay. We can do that. Do you think we should have more guest speakers in general that can be talking about different topics?
Yes. I think guest speakers, it's honestly a treat to have them because it's a good way for us as students to network as well, because we get that opportunity to meet somebody that we wouldn't necessarily meet, because sometimes you do have a lot on your plate. So finding these people and networking with them can be more difficult. So I think that guest speakers are amazing. That would definitely be awesome.
Yeah, I know for SNDA, that was one of the things I made sure that we worked on, is that we had a more diverse set of speakers. I think almost all of them have been alumni, but making sure that we have representation across genders, races, dietitians, not dietitians, different positive, negative experiences while they were in our program. Our speaker this month didn't have the greatest experience at LSU or their internship, but they're still proud to be an alumni. They were just not happy at the time. with being here. So I know that's one thing SNDA has been doing, but I want to kind of take it out of SNDA and maybe try to do more departmental guest speakers. We do have, for those watching and for these turning in live, later this month, we have an alumni, the Ag alumni speaker is a former graduate of our department. I'm blanking, Ken West. He's the COO of the San Jose Hospital. So he'll be an awesome person to listen to with regard to his experience while he was here and then how he got to where he is, which is a pretty big position. So work on guest speakers. Guest speakers about diversity topics mixed in with profession stuff.
I would agree. That would be good. I think it's more engaging when you're not just specifically talking about, okay, this is my career path and this is what I did, like getting to know them, especially if we can relate it to diversity. And that way we're still like everybody's being educated on them more than one topic. I think that would definitely be awesome.
Yeah, and also I want to build on that, like having it tied in with like not just diversity would pull in the attention of students who like might at first be like, oh, well, diversity talk, not me, kind of thing. So if it's built into other topics too, it'll draw in the attention more.
That is a good point.
Yep.
I think it also shows like how like minorities like play into every aspect of or different aspects of your life. Like it's not just like a one-time thing. Like it's in the workforce, in school, in the grocery store, like it's everywhere. It's not just, it's a bigger deal than some people make it out to be, I guess.
Yes, Dr. Eubanks and I were talking about the other day about how students think once they leave here, this is not a problem anymore. So all us LSU forcing this, diversity, like it's never going away, and they need to learn now and then develop kind of I don't know what it would be called, kind of develop this part of themselves that knows how to handle themselves properly, knows how to engage as a team member, knows how to fight for what they believe in. Because once they get into the workforce, there's going to be a diversity officer at their company or wherever they work, and they're going to be. And then especially in the nutrition and health and food science fields that are not very diverse, we are like inundated with this on a daily basis. That like we're almost, I know as a profession, we're expected to be part of our role as health professionals is to have that part of us that like fights for diversity. Yes. Because we want the people that we help to be represented in their health professionals. Mm-hmm. So this isn't going away. So yes, I like your idea. We got to wrap it up in a bow that would entice them to come and then real talk them without expecting it. I was reading that the other day about the concept of real talk. Do y'all know about how some people are just afraid to real talk? Like just be straight up honest, straight up real. I was like, wow, that's not me. That's not Sydney.
The real thing though, there are lots of people who are afraid to have real talk and have real conversations. But those uncomfortable, real conversations definitely need to be had for us to move on, for us to move forward. It is not going away. Whatever you or they or I think it is, it's not going away. We have to have those conversations.
Yeah, I think some students are like, well, once I'm done here, I'm going to leave the South and it won't be as bad. No, it's just as bad everywhere else as it is here. It just seems like it's normal here. It's like it's almost as bad other places because you're not expecting it. People expect it down here, which is awful. Mm-hmm. All right, what else is on my list? Oh, here's another one. What can we do to celebrate diversity? Kind of flip it.
I think something that would be really cool is like if you maybe did like a post like every now and then just about students in our program and just like celebrating them and like their kind of like diversity and their accomplishments and just like, just like give them a shout out. And you could maybe you could send it like via email or like put it on our I know we have our S&D page. I don't know if y'all are going to make a page for y'all's diversity champions in the college, but I think that would be like really interesting to just showcase, and then that way we could celebrate it in that way.
Yeah, they started today. Did you guys get your College of Ag newsletter today? So that's new. They're going to do a monthly newsletter instead of like 5 emails a week, that sort of thing. And there's a part in it that's like the brag about it. So it's like PR, capital A, capital G. I think that's kind of what they like. I think you can submit stuff to the college, like the dean's office, kind of bragging about yourself, that sort of thing. So trust when April, whatever the date is, and all of my students get internships, we will flood that with all of our goodness. So I think that's an outlet where they want students to like tweet them or send them DMs on Instagram or something, because they had comments, like quotes, and then it looked like Twitter. And I was like, not everybody uses Twitter, but I do like that idea of like a showcase, because the School of Nutrition and Food Science, we actually don't have a social media presence, like an official one. I use the SNDA public-facing Facebook page to do that, since we don't really have anything else. So we can do that on there for sure. But we'll have to. I guess tomorrow we can ask Amanda what their plans are for, like, if they're going to create a specific social media channel lineup of one on every Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever else. I don't do TikTok. I'm old. But I like to watch them. How else could we be celebrating? How else could we be celebrating diversity? It's tough. This question was posed we had our retreat follow-up, and this question was posed to students, and they had a hard time answering it. It was easier to talk about the not so good stuff. We're always in that mindset of like, well, this I wasn't pleased with this, or I wasn't pleased with that. I had a really hard time answering that question. So you are not alone in that. But if you come up with stuff, if you're watching this, the replay, please let us know. Please email us just your ideas. I mean, it doesn't hurt to drop an idea. We'll see what we can do with it for sure. Do y'all have any ideas for guest speakers? Is there anybody local, national? We're LSU. We can get national people. Anybody you've seen out there that you're like, ooh, that person's like talking the real talk. Like maybe they can give us a chat. Maybe they know somebody, because everybody knows everybody. There's someone at LSU that knows everybody. So if there's somebody big that you've seen on like CNN or one of the news channels, good chance one of us knows them somehow, or their publicist. So if you do see someone out there that you hear gives like a good talk, or you see them on social media and they have like a really positive presence, especially if you want to bring it down to like our level, like nutrition wise, health wise, medicine, those sort of things. If there are people out there that are that you feel like would give a good kind of inspirational and educational type chat, let us know. Because when I want to follow them, and then so we can see, because you never know. Like we might have a wish list of speakers and get at least one of them. You never know.
I have a question. What made all of you all who are on the call today, what made you join, or what made you want to come and see what we had to say and what this is all about?
For me, y'all just really pulled me in the other day in the SND meeting, SNDA, sorry, I'm dyslexic. Just like y'all's energy about it. And I just don't feel like I have like a great level of education on it. And so I thought that it'd be a great learning opportunity for me, and just to feel like a safe space where I could talk about it, because Dr. McKinley and I have known each other for a good bit, and I've always felt comfortable around her. And then just you, Miss Brandy, whenever you're talking about those little kids and how you work with them, I just felt like I got a real connection to you. So really just y'all in general, and your energy was just very positive. So I really felt comfortable, and I just wanted to come support y'all as well, because y'all support us so much.
Oh, Sydney, thank you for telling me that, because I am a very, very, very high energy person, and I talk with my hands a lot, I move a lot. So it's taking everything in me to right now to just sit and talk calmly, but I am really high energy all the time. So thank you so much for noticing that and appreciating it. But today I'm being very calm. I have been to an elementary school all day. So it is just my nature. Please feel free to utilize me. Yes, I'm so glad you felt that connection, because I am very high energy and I do talk a lot and I get excited, especially about stuff like this, because I am very passionate about it. And it is just my nature to serve, to help in any capacity. And I do it, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything, because it is natural. It's what I'm called to do. So I just want to help. So I'm going to go back to sitting calmly now.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about our students is that they all are here because they want to help people. Like all of our concentrations help
Yes.
people somehow. Even if
Mhm.
it's food science, you're still creating products that help people. And all of us want to work with people in some way. So I think that's what makes our department
Yes.
special. And that deep down, a lot of our students probably have that mindset of like, I just want to help. I do care. They're just
Mhm.
they're learning this new way of thinking about things that's going to take time. So Olivia and Rachel, what brought you today? I know you guys are peer mentors, but
Well, I just thought it sounded really interesting when y'all talked about it in the SNDA meeting. And then I saw the email like the day after or something like that. And so I would like sign up. I tried to sign up that night and the link wasn't working for me for some reason. But then I saw it again the next day. So it worked the second time. And yeah, and I thought Miss Brandy sounded very cool on the thingy. She sounds so nice.
Cool.
And I just wanted to learn more about what this was. Like, it's new. I wanted to see what y'all's ideas were and things like that.
Yeah, kind of the same thing for me. I felt like I was having like really great like critical conversations over the summer and like super engaged and involved that way. And ever since getting back on LSU's campus, like I just kind of got busy with school and everything. So decided it was time to reel it back in and continue to educate myself and try to help other people. And then like hopefully moving up into like upper class levels and like taking on leadership positions and stuff like that. I think it's important to like be informed because you're like that example that like everybody else sees. And if they can come to you, you need to know what to say and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I'm here.
don't worry. Sometimes we don't know what to say, and that's okay.
Yep.
And that's important too, to know that like it's okay to not have it all figured out. Like let's go and figure out how we figure it out together. I think that's important to talk about as well.
Yeah, we don't always have to have a solution. You don't always have to come to us seeking a solution. It could just be to talk.
We provide that listening ear.
We will be listening to listen, not listening to respond.
Yep, for sure.
And to understand, of course. But
And I do like to pride myself on being a really good listener. And I have to take notes, and I will ask 100 questions just so I can fully understand them. Hey, so you're telling me, I like to just make sure that I'm understanding you correctly, and I think that's a big part. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm talking to someone and they are not asking me questions. And then I ask them, did they understand what I was saying? And they were like, well, I didn't really hear you. What did you say? And I'm like, it's over. So just know whatever you say, I will always be there to listen and to understand. So spread the word, utilize us. I do have a question. So when we do another coffee chat, do you all think that we should kind of freelance what we're going to discuss, or do you all want to kind of message us or maybe email us and say, okay, I kind of wanted to bring this up in our coffee chat, or should we just freelance it like we kind of somewhat did today.
Does it need a theme? Does it not need a theme?
I think that like, especially from someone who like knows very little about like diversity and all that stuff, I think it's important to have like one or two like main topics that'll really draw you in, and then like allowing room for conversation and like a flow of topics and whatnot from that. But it's like, for me, I can't think of things right off my head to talk about, but like if you give me like 2 or 3 things to say, then I can like branch down from there, I guess.
We can kind of play off of whatever is happening at that moment in time. Like if there's something nationally or locally that's happened that y'all want to talk about and try to understand more, or why things happened a certain way, or why decisions were made about certain things, we can certainly do that. I know for a little while it seemed like one after the other things were coming up, and it's been kind of quiet right now. So that's good. But for a little while we had like bad news after bad news, and it was not, we called it the dark time of 2020, where we were just, our PR was not good. So we can certainly, if stuff like that comes up, bring that stuff up in coffee chats. Because I have found that students are just like, well, why did LSU make that decision? Or why did this happen? Or why does that person not have their job? Why does that person still have their job? And we don't know all the answers, but we can talk about why we think those things are going on.
Yeah.
Those types of coffee chats, I'm recording this one because it's introductory, but I don't have to do the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
When we have those kind of real talk conversations, that can certainly be part of the safe space aspect of it. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to just be engaging in some of the kind of like a conversation about bias and what that means. Like, we're not experts in it, but I sat through plenty of training to be able to facilitate a conversation and kind of show, I know my eyes are I'm always learning stuff. Like every time I go through a training, I'm like, oh, I've been doing that and I didn't even realize it. I was thinking that way and I didn't even realize it. That person's name was this, and I just assumed something. Like I was doing bias training and they gave us a case study, and the person's name was Tyrone, and everyone was like, well, he's got to be Black. Mm-hmm. And none of us thought any different until after, when someone was like, why do you just assume someone named Tyrone is Black? And we were like all disappointed in ourselves, but they were like, no, don't be disappointed. That's just how you're conditioned. You have to be retraining your brain to not assume things by name. And I'm like, God, because people do that to me. And I didn't even think that I do that to other people. So there's probably some things we can pull out of our training that we've done. Mm-hmm. Kind of go through like exercises and stuff so that you can be learning these things, and because you don't know what you don't know about this stuff. And there's still a lot that I know I don't know. But so I probably learned stuff from you guys.
I'm sure we will all learn things from each other. And if I can definitely help and provide an answer, for sure that I will. And feel free to ask me anything that you might not want to ask another Black woman. Ask me. Hey, if I have the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't, I don't know. But I'll do my best to help you find out, and we can learn together. So please feel free. I am not this person that has a lock on me that, oh no, that's private. Ask. If you don't know, ask. I'm a firm believer in that. And I didn't always feel comfortable when someone, even some of my professors, if you don't know a question, ask. And I would be that student, didn't know what I was doing and just sit there. If you don't know something, just ask.
All right. Any final thoughts on anything?
Just thank y'all for doing this and taking y'all's time to do this, because I really appreciate it. I know I've learned a lot and I just feel more comfortable now. And I met 2 new students that I didn't know. So.
All right. Well, thank y'all for coming. If y'all need anything, you guys know where to find us.
You know where to find us. And
we'll plan another coffee chat soon.
All right. It was my pleasure. I am so excited. Everybody had really good energy, and I do hope to have more coffee and more chats with everybody. So until we meet again.
Thank you.
Thank you.